Darkest Hour is directed by Joe Wright, director of Atonement and Pride and Prejudice. Now, this guy knows how to direct period pieces, and with Atonement having the scene in Dunkirk, it makes him a go-to guy for a film based in this time period. Darkest Hour covers Churchill's first few weeks in office, where he not only has to figure out a way to get the soldiers off the beaches of Dunkirk, but also he has to win the support of his fellow parliament members. Now, straight out of the gate, Gary Oldman won a Golden Globe for his portrayal of Churchill, and it is deserved. When I watch a film based off real-life iconic figures, I want them to show me the person behind the public image. Show me who they are, the person behind the persona. Show me more than what I could just find on their Wikipedia page. Oldman does this, and the script does it. The speeches, the V for Victory, the cigars, this is stuff I was raised on. But I always wondered who really was Winston Churchill. Gary Oldman proves without a shadow of a doubt through his performance that Churchill deserves this iconic standing. The person behind the legend, Oldman shows Churchill both at his lowest and at his peak, his strength and his vulnerability, his bad side and his sensitive side. What a performance, what an actor. Best on-screen representation of the man known as Winston Churchill, MVP of this film, no question. Now, that's just one performance, and unfortunately I have a film to review that also shows why it didn't get any other awards hype. It's built around Oldman's performance. It's a great character piece, but some of the story beats and the character motivations fall flat on their face. Certain characters really don't like Churchill 1 minute, and then 5 minutes later they suddenly support him, and there is no real rhyme or reason for it. Also, the ending just kind of happens. I got the impression that it was supposed to be triumphant, but the build didn't give that sense of victory, which is really a shame because up until that point, the sound design and the shot composition are really well done. Again, this film puts too much stock in Oldman's performance and expects that to be enough to give the film a satisfying ending. The only other performance that even stacks up to half the standard of Oldman's performance is probably Lily James, who plays Elizabeth Layton, Churchill's secretary. She has a more subtle performance, and a lot of her acting comes from the facial expressions. The most emotional scene in the movie has to be when the two are sat in a room going over his next speech towards the end, and without spoiling it, there is a moment of just silence where everything is wordlessly told, and the emotion radiates off the screen, so big credit to the two actors. Unfortunately, the other key characters either felt like they had nothing to do, or I just didn't care about them. Chamberlain has a story that should garner sympathy, but the execution feels lackluster. Clemmy, Churchill's wife, is hardly in this, and whilst there is some chemistry between the two actors, she feels very underused, and King George, he feels very bland and boring, and his change of heart is really sudden. The performance was very one-note by Ben Mendelson. And finally, Halifax, the man that was offered the role of Prime Minister by Parliament before Churchill, just feels like a needless a-hole. Like, if you're just going to try and backseat manage everything Winston does, why not just take the role of Prime Minister in the first place? He felt like a conflict there for the sake of having a character embodying Churchill's opposition, but maybe that's just my historical ignorance talking. Before I get to my rating, the last big shout out I've got to give is to Bruno Delbonnel, the director of photography, because some of the shots in this film are incredible. There are claustrophobic close-ups, there's some amazing crane work, and the lighting does very well to set the mood in this movie. And the composition of the shots is fantastic. It at least gives this film a nice look. Overall, Darkest Hour has many flaws with the characters, but as a study on arguably the greatest Prime Minister the UK has ever had, Oldman plays it perfectly, and the cinematography is really good. We shall never surrender indeed, but this tea needs a bit more sugar. So, Darkest Hour. Has anyone seen it? Drop your opinions in the comments below, and subscribe for new reviews coming all the time. This is the Theshpodcast signing off.